Welcome back to episode 14 of G'day from the USA. I'm your host, Lady Amanda, and I thought it would be fun to have a chat about what it's really like for an Australian living and working in the USA. I'm here today with Kyla.
Hey, good morning.
She was born and raised in Oregon in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, and she's about as American as Fred Meyer. I was going to say Walmart, but I thought you were a step above that.
Oh, thank you. That's very thoughtful.
How would you describe Fred Meyer?
It's a store where you can pretty much get anything. You can get
It's like
groceries,
Walmart, but fancier.
You can get a bicycle for your kid. You can get, some, light tools or things that you need, clothing. Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Well, our very special guest today is Crisa.
Hello.
She was born in California, spent the first 10 years of her life in Portland, the next 10 in Tennessee, then moved back to Portland in 2009. She now lives in Vancouver, Washington, and Crisa is definitely as American as Starbucks.
Yes.
Oh my, yep. That's
Although
a fact.
a little sad, I offered her a coffee this morning and turned it down.
Yeah.
But she did bring donuts.
I did.
So if you can hear us munching, we have Mr. Maple Donuts.
Yeah.
And if we can go back, that Fred Meyer was actually the very first one-stop shop.
What?
Really?
Tell me more.
Yeah, when I moved back, it was my first job, so I had to learn all of that. And it was
Wow.
the Fred G. Meyer started it, and it was the very first one-stop shop.
Was it like sort of Sears? Like the original?
No.
There was no groceries at Sears.
Yeah, no groceries at Sears.
Oh.
So it started as a grocery shop, and then it started turning into clothes and then home improvement stuff. And
You
home decor.
are very knowledgeable.
I worked there.
Speaking of Starbucks. Okay, I have facts.
Oh,
But first,
Hold on. Can I just interject here?
no.
I'm going to. When we moved here, Amanda would always say, I want to go to Starbucks.
oh yeah, I remember that.
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Because I just
It's
wanted to go to one, not all of them.
Starbucks. And we would
Whatever.
have this discussion on the regular whenever it was mentioned, Starbucks,
Mm-hmm.
that it is Starbucks,
Starbucks. Anyway.
even if you're going to only one.
just
She got it right this time, though.
I
She's
did.
getting there, yeah. It's
first-
taken many
Okay, when was the first Starbucks open, you reckon?
I know it was in Seattle
Uh-huh.
in 1974.
71.
Oh, you were so close.
Okay, the first Starbucks was opened in Australia in the year 2000. By 2008, they had 87 locations across the country. Unfortunately, Starbucks didn't fit the Australian tastes. The company serves sweeter coffee options than Australians preferred, all while charging more than the local cafes. So basically, in its first 7 years in Australia, Starbucks accumulated $115 million in losses, forcing the company to close most of its locations. Today,
Go
there
Aussies.
are only 61 locations in Brisbane, Melbourne, Gold Coast and Sydney areas, catering primarily to tourists.
That's because we need our Wish You Were Here mugs.
Right.
Your mama brought me one.
Yes, that's true. So in contrast, how many would you say are in the USA? So 61 in all of Australia. What would you say in the total?
There's at least 61 in Vancouver alone.
Okay, so go with, just give me a figure for the all of USA.
Thousands.
I would say
Pick 1,000.
100,000.
Really?
There's got to be
that seems
so
steep.
many.
I'm
There's
going to say
so many.
like 35,000.
15,966.
You were way closer.
And
Yes, well-
745 just in Washington State. That
Wow.
puts 61, yeah.
By Bob Barker standards, I won, and I'm moving on to the next round.
I'm pretty sure.
Who's Bob Barker?
What? Price is Right is you
The
can't
Price
go
is Right.
over at all.
Yeah, you can't go over.
But
Oh,
you
no.
did go over. Price is Right rules is you can't go over at all. So we're both
Kyla's
losers.
backpedaling here.
I think she's right.
Oh, yeah, you both went over. So I pretty much won with 61.
You Googled it.
Oh, whatever.
Cheater.
So I would like to say Crisa was my very first friend in the USA. We technically lived in the same house.
Yes.
Kyla and I had the servants' quarters. It was this huge manor style house. How would you describe it?
I think it's I think it's called a foursquare.
Oh,
Is the traditional,
does that
Yeah.
even mean?
right? A foursquare house.
I don't know.
I don't know. It was
What year was it built? When we
1901.
Googled it.
It was 1901, and it was a Sears house.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like
You ordered it off of a kit.
and it came on a
Wow.
train.
Came
and
on
then
a
the
train.
neighborhood helped you put it up.
Yep.
So we had the basement, which was $636 rent. What did you guys pay for you had the whole upper bit of the house.
When we first moved in, it was $12.95.
Wow. It was so random endings, like
Yeah.
636.
Well, she had told me she had other properties, and so each one, like the way that it ended, that's how she knew which person was
Oh,
paying their rent.
Clever.
Mm.
Slumlord.
Awful.
So bad.
She was awful.
So bad.
You may notice you're sitting on the couch that you gave us when
I
we first
didn't
moved
notice.
in.
I said if you could carry it, you can have it.
And,
And
we
it
still
is
have the
a
And
mirror.
that's how I met Kyla, right?
That is true.
It is a
Because
heavy,
I was
heavy
like,
bastard.
okay,
Ugh.
I've got backup.
Well, that's the second
Then it
time I
turned-
met Kyla. The first time she yelled at me, and I closed the door and was like, never mind. Do you remember that?
I don't.
You guys were moving in, and I was so excited to have a neighbor. I had never seen Amanda. I had not seen her at all. I just saw Kyla going up and down the stairs. And so I opened our back door, and I was like, hi, I'm Crisa. And you were like, I'm a little busy. I was like,
Oh.
oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
I could see me saying that.
bye.
Harsh.
But then, you were tired and exhausted. And
No
you moved from-
excuses.
No.
Do not defend her.
No,
I
don't
love
defend me. That was rude.
Horrific.
I was just like, okay. But then the next time, you were very kind when you came and got the couch. So I was like, oh, okay. Maybe she was
Wow.
having a bad day. But you scared me from the start.
I get that a lot.
Selling yourself well. Okay, we have feedback from last week. Our lovely Canadian listener, Wendy, said that as a kid, she would knock on people's doors and run away too, and they called it knocky, knocky, nine door.
Ooh, that's fun.
So
I have
in
to
Australia,
admit-
we called it nick knocking, and here was like ding the ditch or something.
Ding dong ditch.
That is so bizarre, ding dong ditch. I mean, I guess.
What did you call it?
Nick knocking.
That sounds really bad.
Yeah, that sounds
Uh,
shady.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I have to admit, I did not listen to last week's episode.
Have you ever listened to any?
I was waiting until this to tell you. I listened to every one that was out while I was recovering from surgery because I
Aw.
was by myself. And
Love
it was
that.
actually really cool to like listen to you guys and like laugh at myself with my headphones walking around this hospital.
Oh,
And like, because I know you guys.
yeah.
And so it made me feel less alone.
Oh, that's so good.
stop it.
I think
Aw.
it was like up to episode 9. Kelsey was on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Kelsey.
And she forgot to bring
Oh, the pie.
the pie. She forgot to bring
Oh.
pie.
she did bring it the
last-
next day.
She
That
did.
was the last episode I heard.
So you
and,
had to one up her with the pie and
and
get
I was
the
like, I got to bring the
donuts.
donuts.
They're really good. What am I munching
Future
on? Is
guests, take note.
it bring gifts.
Next time, I could use about a ton of hay. Any kind is
Wow.
fine. I won't mind,
What am I eating?
cream
They
puff.
called it a cream puff.
Oh, it's so good. Mr. Maple, highly recommend. If you want to sponsor us. How was the doggy DoorDash?
It's not DoorDash. It's just Doggy Dash.
Oh.
It was really good.
What is it?
It is for the Oregon Humane Society,
Uh-huh.
and you raise money if you can. I think it was like $60 to join this year, which was kind of outrageous. And then you run a 5K, but they had 2 courses this year, a smaller one and then the 5K. And then before that, I threw like a big fundraiser. We raised a bunch of money for it, and it all goes to the Oregon Humane Society.
How much did you raise?
I personally raised $501
Whoa, impressive.
done.
from doing the Pints for Pups at
Mhm.
Beverage.
That was fun.
Beverage hosted us, and you guys came out. A bunch of people came out, and they had a raffle, and then my whole team did about $800 together.
Oh, impressive.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
And did you guys win? Or there was no?
There's no winner.
Everyone
I mean, I got
wins.
like swag, like a hoodie and socks and a hat and stuff, but
Nice.
yeah, I got to go in
Love
the
it.
VIP tent
Oh,
They
why is
had-
that?
because I raised so much money. They had like a bathroom in a trailer.
Ooh.
And so instead of a porter potty, I got to go into
Oh,
the
fancy.
VIP tent, and I was
Yeah.
like, "This is great." And my wife did not, because
Oh.
she raised no money,
Oh, you couldn't
and so
even
it was
bring
like,
a
"Please,
guest?
please hold my bag while I go use the proper bathroom."
That is gold. I love it.
Yeah,
You and I had a
fantastic.
lovely foot massage last week.
Yes.
Crisa actually told me that she thought the massage parlor was a front for sex workers.
Still do.
What? Well, you were there.
And we were only in the front room. There
Oh,
are
dear God.
rooms with doors, and
I've
it's
been
open
in the rooms
until
with
10 p.m.
Yeah, for
That's-
those who work late.
Exactly.
No, Carla and I've been in the back room and had a massage.
No happy ending, people. Get your mind out of the gutter.
It was quite lovely. I will go back.
Oh, yeah. Good value.
Yeah.
Tiffany, our guest we had 2 weeks ago, had a beautiful baby boy, Julius James.
Congratulations. He is so
Yeah,
handsome.
He's really
and
cute.
what
Got
a little
so
doll.
much hair and like little soft hair.
I held him for like
beautiful.
an hour and a half and it was glorious.
Yes. One thing that surprised me was there's free parking in the hospitals.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were like, I can't believe
Yeah.
this.
Like every hospital in Melbourne is like $6 an hour. Like,
You have to pay to park at a hospital?
It's
Well,
insane.
it's a racket.
But you don't have to pay to be at the hospital.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
true. It's
So
free hospital,
I
but
feel like it's a good
it's a
deal.
trade-off.
Yeah.
It's a much better deal, trust me. When you get a hospital stay here in the States, it's in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, remember our neighbour was bitten by a dog, like a random dog in the street. She was in there overnight, had surgery on her thumb, and it was 20 grand.
Yep.
What?
Yes. Yeah, it would have been 100% free in Australia. So, yeah, $20 for
And not
parking.
just other countries as well.
Every other country in the world.
Pretty much every other
Developed
country.
except for here.
Yep.
Kyla finished her cold plunge tank.
Yay!
maiden
I did my
voyage.
maiden voyage yesterday and it was awesome.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
Car update, still don't have it. I was telling Crisa that they called and said it was a software update and the website was down, which they're waiting for the website to come back up. Wouldn't you think they would just have like disk or a...
Something that you could
Stick.
update with, like an
Everything's
old,
on the
old
cloud
school.
now.
It's so ridiculous.
Wait, Big Red. Big Red is back and purring like a
Yes,
kitten.
both
Thank you, David.
Aw.
Thank you, David. Crisa, you have some word pronunciations for us.
Oh, I do. I
You have
forgot.
homework.
Okay, hold on.
Okay. I do know one of them
Yeah.
was Porsche.
Oh, because I say Porsche.
Porsche.
But
You make
I
it sound
could
more
be
fancy.
wrong.
No, it could be. Kyla, do you weigh in on this? Porsche.
I think I would say Porsche. No, I would say Porsche.
Ooh.
Porsche?
Like a car. I don't know. Porsche.
Yeah, I
I
don't know.
wonder what the official Italian. It's Italian, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably like
Porsche.
Porsche.
On the theme of cars,
Yes.
Hyundai.
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 Is
Hyundai.
Kyla the tiebreaker?
Yeah.
Kyla's tiebreaker.
We own one, so
That's
We
unfair.
win.
You've got 2 Americans against 1 Australian. She's always going to be on your side.
You were over at my house the other day, and we'd
Yes.
grabbed lunch, and that's how this one got on here. But Mandarin,
Mandarin.
and I had never heard that one. I'd never heard you say that
Mandarin orange.
one. Yeah, Mandarin orange.
Oh, God. You guys
Mandarin.
massacre every word.
Me.
Yeah, and then Amanda's favorite, Adidas.
Adidas. I'm very partial to
She
the
made
brand.
me do that
Very
one last
loyal.
week.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Jody had asked, so I wanted
Rude.
to give the listeners what they wanted.
And this one I kind of agree, I guess, with the Aussies on it because it makes sense. But we call it Nike.
Nike.
But, I mean, Mike is Mike. We wouldn't say Mikey.
Right.
Nike.
I would say Mikey. Hey, Mikey.
Yeah, but that was like an IE. Like if it was
Yeah, with
MIKE,
the
you
Y at
would
the
say
end.
Mike.
But still, we know
Mike.
because Nike was developed here
No,
in the
it was in
Pacific
Oregon.
Northwest.
And then how
Whatever.
it wasn't how we met, but it was very, very soon after I was working in the garden, and Amanda came around and asked if I had I would say spanner, but you were saying
Spanner. Spanner.
and I was like, what? And you were like, do you have a spanner, a spanner?
No, I would say a wrench.
And I was like, what? I don't know what that is. And she was using this like motion
I
to
couldn't
fix the
describe-
lawnmower, and I was like,
We
a
had
wrench?
this communal lawnmower.
but I had never heard of it.
I had
in
never
our-
heard of spanner, too.
Spanner. I guess it's called a wrench.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great story.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then I found it out.
What other words do you have? Puma.
Oh, Puma.
I hate that word. Puma.
Puma.
Wait.
Puma.
But you make it sound like it smells.
No,
you-
Puma does.
Do you hate that word more or less than dyke?
That is such an insulting word.
Dyke?
It's
Yeah,
disgusting.
she hates it. She thinks it's disgusting. I mean, listen, there's 3 lesbians sitting here, so I mean,
I'm
I don't find it
insulted already.
offensive at all.
We also had a term on here for like upside down on a loan, and you didn't know what that was.
Yes. Is that weird? Like whenever someone gets a car loan or whatever and they go to trade the car in, they owe more on the car.
Than what
They're
it's
like,
it's
oh,
worth.
I was upside down. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from.
Yeah, it's so American.
But upside down on a loan.
Mm-hmm.
So weird. What about Nissan?
Nissan.
Mazda.
Mazda.
I think we've done that. Porsche, yeah. Okay, the fun segment
Oh.
that everyone loves.
Oh,
Guess
I
the
forgot.
Australian word.
Oh, I like this one.
Okay.
I just don't want to be quizzed on my Americanness.
Oh, I'm over their thing. I've done it now. The little flashcards are gone.
Oh, God.
Oh, thank
May they
God.
rest in peace in the bin
Bye-bye.
somewhere. Okay, Brolly.
A brawly. I feel like a fight that breaks out in a bar.
Ooh, a Brolly fight.
Is that right?
No, Kyla.
I'm gonna say that it's like someone who's really impressive and like stout.
Oh, that's
I
good.
actually thought this would be half American. Like I thought you would know this. It's an umbrella. A Brolly.
That is not half American.
No.
Never heard of umbrella referred to as that ever in all of my
Interesting.
Also in
very few days.
But I do
Portland
like
and
the bar
Seattle,
fight.
we don't use umbrellas.
That's for the weak.
That's considering it rains 900 days of the year.
Yeah, we don't.
No.
We just
Okay.
We know you're an outsider if you're using an umbrella.
This is true. Billabong.
Oh, that's a clothing brand.
Ooh, it is.
It is a
but-
clothing brand, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not referring to this is probably why it was called Billabong.
Somebody is like, I don't know, a surfer, a person that surfs.
Isn't that
Hangs out on the coast.
that little guy you had to dress up as, the koala, Billabong?
Billabong Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billabong Ben.
That was a koala.
Mm-hmm.
Does he like save you from forest fires like Smokey the Bear?
No, that is cool. A billabong is a pond in a dry riverbed.
Oh.
Riverbed. Okay, Kyla should know this one. Crisa, maybe a flanny.
With an L? Flanny, not Fanny.
Oh, Crisa.
Crisa, why'd you take it down? I mean,
Faux pas. Faux
fanny
pas.
here is bum, but in Australia, not so much.
It's the other side. Just
No.
do a little flip
Flan-
around.
I knew what that
Flanny.
one was.
Flanny.
Never heard this before, by the way, Amanda.
I don't know.
Flannelette shirt.
Oh, a flannel.
Chuck your flanny on. Okay, hoon.
Oh, I know this one.
A hoon?
A hoon.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Stop hooning.
Like joking?
No.
Stop driving like a madman.
Yeah, hoon like a
Oh.
hooligan.
Hooning around town.
So, interesting fact, we have hoon legislation in Australia. It's literally called hoon
Oh.
legislation. It's laws to punish those who drive their cars recklessly in public settings. So if you're caught driving crazy, speeding, burning out, or creating smoke with your vehicle, you may be convicted of a hooning offence. If you have committed a hoon-related offence, police have the power to seize that vehicle and impound or immobilise it for 30 days, regardless of who owns it. So if I borrowed your car and did a little burnout in the street, they would take the car for 30 days. And
Good.
you'd be like, bitch, what have you done?
I think
yeah.
that's kind of cool. We have a lot of that here, and we do
Mhm.
nothing.
Yeah, so street
Nothing.
racing, all that stuff.
No,
We,
we
like-
can't even keep criminals off the street or keep people from looting in downtown Portland.
Yeah, if you call 911 and you're like, oh, this guy's driving like a hoon, we would be like, okay, cool. And we would just say it on the radio, and then that's it. We clear it. An officer won't
Wow.
even touch it. Like, it's literally just information
So
only.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. We'll get to that more in a minute. Don't you worry about that. Snag.
Well, I feel like this can go more than one way. Like, is it like a snag on your clothing?
No.
I think it's someone with like one tooth.
No. I'll give you a clue. It's something you eat.
Is it like a snack?
Snack.
Snack.
You know, like, I need my snacks.
No one ever says that.
I say that.
Okay.
Is it a meat pie?
Snacky snack time. You are so close, but
Meat
that's
pie.
not a meat pie, but you're very close.
Oh,
You're on the right track.
Is it a pie without meat? Is it
No.
a fruit pie?
You would have it in bread with ketchup, tomato sauce.
Is it a hot dog?
So close.
Oh, but that's not like a sausage sizzle. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you would have a snag at a sausage sizzle.
That's right.
Like a sausage roll?
Just the sausage.
No,
Like,
they put it in like a piece of bread.
Oh, but like a sausage roll, like in England?
No, we have
No.
sausage rolls, but that's like pastry.
Oh, this is
Like burger meat in pastry or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I have questions for you.
Oh, yay.
What was it like growing up as a kid in the USA?
I don't know. I grew up in the 90s, and so I was a latchkey kid. Have you heard that term before?
No clue.
So
Were you
know what that is?
abducted?
I do. Mhm.
Yeah, I bet you were a latchkey kid.
Sort of, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Should I be worried?
No, I wasn't adopted.
What is a latchkey?
It basically, so you know those,
abducted.
I think it came from the lanyards that kids would wear that are now like on every work badge, but would have our
Yeah.
house keys on it because our parents worked. Both of our parents worked. And
Oh.
so
So
we
you'd come
would
home.
come home from school and we'd have to like unlock the door, but it was always attached to us. And so, and we were just home alone.
Fascinating. Huh.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
I mean, it was, I grew up in Portland and we just kind of ran around and I don't know. I don't know. I was just a 90s
Your
kid.
dad was a truck driver, so you used to travel a lot with him?
That was in Tennessee. When I was younger, my dad was, he worked at this place called Morgan CFS, and it was a lumber mill.
Ooh.
And so he would do overtime on the weekends, and my friend Carrie and I would go with him, and we would climb stacks of lumber
Oh, love that.
and like hide in these stacks of lumber and play hide and seek, which I'm sure is against
Oh my
every
God.
rule
Is
and
it?
regulation. And
But don't you think that about everything today? Like,
Yeah.
as a kid, my friend Jody and I would ride in the back of her dad's trailer, like around the streets.
yeah,
Like, we'd go to the shops and we'd be in the trailer. Can you even imagine that these days?
Oh, no.
Like, you'd literally be arrested.
yeah.
Remember that time when I drove, when that guy told us we couldn't park at the casino parking lot and stay the night with the camper?
Yeah.
And you had already gotten dressed for bed and you're like, I am not going out there. And I was like, don't worry, sir, I will leave right now. And so I got in the truck and started it up and was driving. And I called her, with my hands-free device. And I'm talking to her as she's in the back of the camper. And she's like, Jesus, slow down. You're tossing me around back here.
That was
And
fun.
I was like, I'm everyone that knows me knows that I cannot maintain just the speed limit. I tend to go
I was
a
nearly
little
flinging
faster.
up against the roof and crazy things were happening. But it was fun.
But yeah,
Did you
it
have to
was,
come home?
seriously, I can't imagine doing it that way, Amanda,
Yeah.
because it was so stressful for me knowing that you were back there and that you were not safe. So I was going the speed limit, like keeping my eyes peeled. Like, I can't imagine how you could do that with kids in the back.
Different world these days.
Yeah.
And I mean, we used to ride around the back of the pickup bed too,
Yeah, crazy things would happen back in the day.
Well, you can still let your dog ride in the back of the pickup.
I
and
do see that.
on the freeway, and that scares me.
Yeah.
Because it's maybe your dog's a good dog and like really loves that, but how do you trust the other people?
And then I worry, what if the dog jumps out and they're like connected by the leash? And
I
they're like
saw that
just
happen
hanging.
once.
It's
Horrific.
scary.
It was horrible.
Horrific. What was Tennessee like?
Hot, humid, trash.
What?
Bam, bam,
What?
bam. 3 words: hot, humid, and trash.
have
Hated it?
I've never been back.
Which part of Tennessee?
Knoxville. Hell.
Really?
It was so white. It was so white.
What
And
does that mean?
I mean, it was just very Republican, very right wing, very
Okay.
No diversity.
There was no diversity. I think I had 3 people of color in my entire high school. Maybe
That's similar for me growing up in Southern Oregon.
Yeah, it was. And that's coming from Portland where, I mean, there was so much diversity. And the first week I moved there, somebody burned a cross in our neighborhood's yard,
What?
like a yard in our neighborhood. Yeah. And I had no idea what it
That's
was. Like
disturbing.
I had never,
Yeah, it just doesn't enter your head when
Right,
you're
I
not
don't
raised
know.
that way.
I don't know what that means. And it was, they had 3 mixed kids they'd adopt. The grandparents had adopted these 3 mixed kids. And yeah, it was a lot.
Didn't
I
love
made
it?
some really good friends, and I did high school, and I got like all my really crappy teen years out of the way and made all my mistakes, and and then real quick I was like, I want to come home.
Wow.
And I think I've been back one time, and that was to rescue my niece.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then that was it. I mean, I'm sure it's lovely. I would go back now as an adult.
I like Tennessee. I mean, I've not
it's-
lived there, or
It's really pretty.
I don't even think I've been to Knoxville.
Yeah, it's fine.
What's the one? Chattanooga, is it?
Yeah, Chattanooga.
Been to that. Memphis. Graceland, is that Memphis?
Yes.
And what's the one where it's
Nashville?
Nashville. I was going to say the music one.
I remember in Nashville, I remember being a teenager and we went to Nashville for a weekend and I remember all the gay bars were on Church Street. And I loved
how
that.
Ironic.
And that was like the one thing about Nashville
That's
I remember.
pretty ironic,
is
yeah.
that it was like, oh, look at this gay bar on Church Street. But I mean, I made some really good friends. I have good memories of it. I would never choose to be back there again.
Do you think it's changed, or it would probably even worse?
No.
Politically, no. And I have some really good friends that I travel with, and we want to go back and see them and visit with them. And, it's just...
You just went to Greece with them.
I did.
Yeah.
No, I went to Rome.
Italy, sorry.
Yeah.
I was looking up Greece, so I was like... Literally, I saw this bargain flight for like $400 and I had to research. Tempted. How many states have you visited?
Oh, I used to have an app.
Really? But you can do a ballpark.
Yeah, probably
Nearest 10.
35 to 40.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, I haven't done anything on the East Coast really, or like the middle. But my dad was a truck driver, and that's how I got a lot of it done.
Yeah, I like that. Best road trip you've ever taken?
Well, I can tell you the worst road trip I ever taken was when they moved me to Tennessee.
Oh.
But
boom, boom.
The best one, I think. I really like the one where we all went to like Alcatraz and Vegas. And
yes,
that one was really fun.
We went to San Francisco.
Yes. And then right after COVID started, it was maybe like 6 months into lockdown. I think I had like a mini panic attack and I was just so done being cooped up.
Mm-hmm.
And Carrie and I went to Yellowstone and I'd never been there.
Love that.
We had driven there and I think we did 4 days. We just drove all night. And
what animals did you see?
we saw every animal in the park except for wolves.
Oh.
And it was empty. The park was empty.
What month was it? Because we went in May and it was just opening and same sort of deal.
Yeah, it was like April or May. And then we've heard since then it's just bumper to bumper. Like everybody, the moment COVID opened everything up, it was like everyone was there and
slammed.
Yeah, it was amazing. And we went to the Grand Teton. Those were beautiful. The National Forest up there, that was...
Love it.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
That does sound amazing. Best advice anyone has ever given you?
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Ooh, that would have to be me.
I live by it.
I 100%. That is me.
Yeah,
that is Amanda.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Tony, I remember doing that with my old boss. I remember doing that with him the entire time. I knew he would say no if I asked, but I knew if I did it, that afterwards it would turn out and he'd be like, okay. Anyway, can we talk about 911?
Yes.
Somebody
How may I
call
help you?
911. Oh, boom, boom. Okay, so if I call and I like ring, how do you answer?
It's this automatic thing.
Oh.
Of my like a recording that just says 911, what's the address of the emergency?
Okay,
Really?
so Crisa works for Crisa, which is our local 911 thing. For those of you that are, it kind of segued, kind of like abrupt.
Yes.
She is a 911 operator, which is
Slash
your guys'
dispatcher.
isn't that 000?
000, which is 000, and I think the UK is like 999.
Yeah, but I think your mom told me that if we call 911 and we're in Australia and call 911, it'll like reroute us to 000 because of all the TV and movies and stuff.
I thought this, and I had a bit of a Google. I think some phone carriers do it, but I don't think your regular home phone. I mean, if anyone has one of those.
Do people even have those anymore?
Oh, what?
I know my mum
like a corded
got rid of hers.
Landline.
A landline. So, yes, you have an interesting job as a 911 dispatcher / operator. What inspired you to pursue this career?
My friend Sierra. We lived
Sierra.
3 blocks away, and she happened to say that she'd seen it, and she was like, I think you'd be really good at this. And I looked into it, and I remember like I took a bath in a very dark room. There were no lights, and I listened to the worst 911 calls on YouTube.
Ooh.
Yes, you can.
You are such a creep.
I love that. I would enjoy that.
You can look it up. And there was a couple that I like laughed through. And I was like, some monkey ripping some lady's face off. The whole story was...
I think I actually listened to the podcast on that.
The whole story was wild.
It was her own one, wasn't it?
It was her own
It went
chimp.
crazy. Yes,
Yeah.
I remember this
And
one.
it was just kind of wild. And there were really sad ones. But it didn't bother me. And so I
Straight away knew.
was like, let's try it. And the money is really good. And it's a 4-day on, 4-day off. We're hiring, by the way.
Crisa has
Quick
tried to
little
get
plug-in.
me tried to
Crisa.
get me to apply. The problem is I've listened in, like I've gone on a we call it a ride along, sit along,
Sit along.
and I've listened to the calls, and I can understand maybe 10% of them. So she's typing away like, yep, what's the address? What's this? What that? I'm like zero understanding of what the person has said.
But you get there. You have to learn your ear because I didn't know that either. And like the radios are really hard. I didn't know what those cops were saying.
Yeah.
But now I can like listen and like when they play a true crime thing on TV and the radio's talking and I know exactly what they're saying. But Carrie
I
is
love
like,
that.
what? And I'm
What's
like, oh
going
yeah,
on?
that's what they said.
So describe a typical day. Like how long are the shifts? What do you do?
So it's 10 hours without overtime. With overtime, it can be up to 14. It's a lot of traffic complaints, a lot of abandoned vehicle complaints, neighbor issues,
Yeah.
property lines, and then, you get like your actual crimes and stuff. But it's not like every call is not a life-threatening emergency as
Yeah,
much as our
sadly.
citizens would like to believe it is.
What would be the weirdest call you've ever answered?
The weirdest.
Yeah. Like something you're like, what is
Like
happening
a
right
monkey's
now?
ripping
Is
my
this-
face
Oh.
off.
I had a goal to get a UFO call and a Bigfoot
What?
call, and I've had both.
Nice.
Yeah.
Crystal loves her Sasquatches.
They were both in Battleground.
Not
Wow.
surprising.
So, that they thought there was like,
UFO?
and I get to say it on the radio that there's like a UFO or.
That's
yeah.
cool.
I don't
And
remember the details.
Does
I just remember it was, like, a
anyone
sighting.
get dispatched to that, or it's just like
Battleground
yeah,
will go
thanks,
to
crazy.
anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they're bored as.
No call too small.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what
they
they
are
say.
bored
Can I
as.
just say, I work nights, and when I drive through Battleground, they're always sitting there in the like 20 miles an hour section waiting. Like they've got nothing better to do with their lives. Every night they are there near the McDonald's or near the other areas. I don't know if they're just chilling or ready to catch.
we
but
have
yeah.
we have like 6 small cities is what we call them. And then we have VPD and Vancouver Police and CCSO, Clark County. And it's just kind of like the Wild West in Clark County, and VPD is just crazy. But the small cities are like,
on
they
it.
don't want that riffraff.
No.
They are on
That's
it.
true.
Yeah.
Like they're pretty over it.
What one would we be in? Clark County?
You're Clark County because
Yes.
you live outside of the Battleground city limits.
Okay.
So it'd be-
So if we lived in Battleground, we would be controlled
yeah.
by Battleground PD, but now we're Vancouver.
No,
No,
you're CCSO.
Clark County.
CCO.
The county.
CCSO,
at
Clark
large.
County Sheriff's Office.
Mhm.
Oh, the sheriff. Okay, so I get this question all the time. What is the sheriff? Because to us, it's like the sheriff is the head of the police, whatever.
He
You know
is.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we see the sheriff cars all the time, what does that mean?
It's just saying it's the sheriff's office. So you're seeing
the
a sheriff's
office.
deputy.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would we know if it was the sheriff?
You wouldn't unless
mean,
you
it
saw
would say-
his designation on his.
Right.
But not his car.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if his car says it.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen
Interesting.
his
Yeah,
car.
everyone, that's what's confusing.
But I'm
to
sure he's got
Australians.
like
a star.
the
Didn't
stuff
we
on
meet?
his.
Did the guy we met at Fair? Did he end up getting reelected?
I think he did get it.
Yeah.
Remember that?
He didn't get reelected. We have a new sheriff.
That's who we met.
Oh, we
Yeah,
met.
he's new. He wasn't
Yes.
reelected.
We
but
met. He
We
was
met
a tall
him.
kind of.
He's a good dude. He's a
Yeah,
good
we
egg.
were buying a coffee, an iced coffee, and I said to him, "Oh, you're the guy that's on all the
billboards.
And he should have bought your coffee with that.
No,
He
No, I guess
shook
he
our
can't
hands.
because
Kyla got a
He
photo
doesn't
with
love
him.
it. You
But yeah.
did?
did I?
Yeah,
How
Oh.
political.
did because the sort of
me.
was a joke because Mum was always like seeing all the billboards and she's like, "Oh my god, these are ridiculous!" Like
Well, they should
every-
come down. They shouldn't be up forever.
They were literally there. For
I have
like a year.
a funny thing. So our units or cops or units, they have numbers. So all of the sheriff's office starts with a 1. And then they have a letter, and that is if they're day shift or swing shift or night shift or a canine, and then they have their beat number. So for like
Okay.
1 Sam 82 is Chris, right? So like I know that that's him. And I saw this on the board, and it was 1 Adam 1. And I was like, well, who the hell is that? Well, of course it's the sheriff because it's the first one ever, like one Adam one. And I was like, I had no idea for 7 years. I was like, what is Horsch doing? Like, why is he on the radio today? Like he should be doing like, sheriff stuff. But then it made sense that it's one Adam one.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I just learned that.
So much to learn.
Which makes sense.
It's always nice to have a job where you learn something new. Like for me working in the lab, I feel like pretty much there's not a single shift, a single day that goes by that I don't learn something new in the cath lab.
I basically learn, like when I think I've seen it all, I discover that is not true. Someone can prove me wrong and I see something more crazy or speak to someone even crazier. Worst call you've ever faced? Is it too traumatic to even say?
It's traumatic. I don't know if I can say her name.
Please don't say names.
No names.
I mean, there's like a GoFundMe and stuff for her. It was
to say.
What 6 months ago, maybe.
Rough age, male, female.
Female. She had called me and she had said, I clearly heard her say, my husband shot me and shot my baby, but you don't hear it.
Yeah.
And so I say, what? And she said it again.
Yeah, because your mind can't grasp the fact that someone could
that's
do that.
Plus, like you said, you're so used to answering calls like someone stole my car or whatever.
Right. And we have a lot of mental health issues in our county. And so I'm like, you're listening for background noise. You're listening how she's saying it. And luckily I was able, the first thing is she gave me the address and she was really good about it. I had no history on the address. And so you're just like working through it and she's telling me her story and I stayed on the line with her and my boss came over at one point and he asked me like, do you think this is legit or do you think this is mental health?
Yeah.
And I was like, I think this is real. And he had then, he had shot himself but she couldn't tell me if he was breathing and she was spiraling because of her baby, which is absolutely
so sad.
It was awful.
Yeah. Tragic.
And I was just trying to figure out where's this gun? And she would not answer any of it. And I heard this terrible banging sound. And in my mind, he had gotten up and he had fallen, but it was the sheriff's office and they had kicked in the door. And it was the first time that I remember there was zero hesitation. Like usually they like knock and they announce and they yell at you to come out, like zero hesitation. They kicked down that door.
Good.
Horrific. So what was the outcome?
He was dead. She made it, and the baby made it to the hospital, but
then later succumbed to injuries.
Yeah. And she's paralyzed now.
Oh my God, that's horrific.
It was awful.
And the fact that, was it her husband?
It was her husband.
Like that you married that
infant.
person. Oh,
yeah. And
awful.
I remember we took this like domestic violence class, and one of the detectives, she's amazing, told us if we can keep them on the line as long as you can because they're going to use that as evidence later in court
against the individual,
against him. And I had no idea if the guy was breathing or not, and so I just kept this open line of the paramedics and the deputies talking to her and talking about the baby and talking about the guy on the ground, and I'm just like sobbing, like I'm muted, and I'm like crying, and my coworker Sarah came up to me and she was like, I think you need to hang up. And I just like logged off of everything and walked out.
Horrific.
And my job was amazing about it. Like my like deputy director reached out to me and he was like, you do not need to come back until you're ready. Here's therapy if you want the therapy. They were so great about it.
I do like the things you tell me about the company sound amazing. Like,
yeah, that's impressive.
They were very like, here you go.
Wow.
Yeah, they were very good about it.
I was going to ask, like, how do you know when to stay on the line and when to hang up?
You just they train you. You just kind of know. And you ask them too. Like a lot of medicals, you'll say like, do you want me to stay on the line? And they're like, no, I have to get dressed. They're always having to get dressed. I don't know why. Like,
everybody's sitting around
when
naked.
You're like naked or in a robe. But
I guess.
They always have to go get dressed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on a podcast like Case File, Sword and Scale, like any call?
I've been so close.
And have you ever regretted anything like afterwards? You're like, oh God, if this is on a podcast and I was a bitch to the person or
I want to be on a podcast. Like this is lovely, but I want my call to be on a podcast. And I was so close. It was a I think it was on ID, maybe Discovery. It was a documentary just came out a couple months ago. One of my best friends, Julie, who is a detective for the sex crime unit, did a whole show on Nikki Kuhnhausen and her tragic murder of she's a transgender.
Yeah, I've listened to this.
Yeah, and I was like, this is it. They're going to play my call because I took the call where the guy found the body.
Yeah.
And they say like, and then 911 got a call and then they didn't play it. And I was like, I was so close. Like this was it.
And is it public record? Can anyone get these calls?
Anyone can get. They can get our calls. They can get our messages, like between us.
Really?
Like, in the office, they can get our email. Everything we do is
and
public.
how do like just say I wanted to listen to a call.
Yeah, you go on to our website and request the request records and.
Very cool. How hard is it to understand people when they're panicking?
It depends on the panic. So
and what is how do you deal with that? Like, would you shut up?
How do you bring them back down to?
Yeah, to get the information you need.
It just kind of depends on the person and what's happening. If there's a house fire, you will know immediately their house is on fire and there is no bringing them back. Like there's nothing because they're rushing to get everything they can and every person they can, every pet out of that house.
Oh, that's terrific.
And so I basically am like, get everybody out, call me back on a cell phone, right? If they're calling on that landline. Yeah. And then they can there's no calming anybody down in a house fire. When it's like fighting and stuff, you try to get them separated and you try to like let them know like, hey, you can be instigating this. Like it just depends on what they're saying.
Yeah.
I will be snarky from time to time and I'm like, you're at a 10. I need you to take it down a notch.
What is what I always say to you?
It's not what you say. It's how you say it.
That may be the best piece of advice I've ever given you. Crisa can say something and it's just a tone. It's not, it can be so lovely, but the tone with which she says it all.
And I've always had that issue.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid.
The problems that we have, self-included, right, with being intimidating or whatever, typically revisit us, I think, over and over and over so that we can work on those things. If we have enough presence of mind to see that this is something that keeps repeating, then it's probably something we need to work on. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I feel the same way like
I'm
about
perfect,
myself.
So I don't understand.
I don't know how you can say the same thing.
You are a stubborn mule sometimes.
But it sounds so sweet. And I am like, maybe I don't have the patience or like, I don't know how to like say it politically correct because I'm blunt and I will just say like, hey.
You both are.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes car business. Amanda was not even going to get her rental car and the lady was just blowing her off. And I was like, no, there's not going to be a problem here, right?
Yeah.
She was like, nope, no problem.
And I was just sitting there like, oh God, thank you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Oh, imagine if like when she called and told me about the update, you would have been like, fix it now.
Right. There's no.
Go drive to head office. You also
told her in the beginning, I think it's the software.
I did. Mm-hmm. I knew that was the problem because I had
and she told us some random. Did you tell Kyla? She told us some random thing that said it's like your car is sending every signal to keep your car running when it should be shutting it off. And she was she had no. She would answer any questions. She kept saying she'd call her back. She would never call her back. So we just rolled up and we were like, "Hey,
not happy there." You receive a call, but the person on the end doesn't respond. What do you do?
Hang up.
What? What happens if someone is locked in a cupboard and can't talk, and someone's got a gun to the head, and you're like, bitch, no one's there. Click.
No. Pretty much. No. Again, you listen for background noise. We have a lot of incomplete calls. And so
this happens every other
You call back. You hang up and then you call back. And if no one answers, it's a cell phone. That's all she wrote. Wow. But if it's a landline and you don't answer, we'll come because we know where you are.
Right.
We do not know where you are on your cell phone. We have a rough idea.
Interesting. I was wondering about that.
But we do not know. We cannot track. That's illegal. Everyone thinks like just trace my phone. That's not how it works. We have like a rough estimate of like there's somewhere on this block maybe.
So you got no clue.
Yeah.
Huh. Can you detect a bum dial?
Oh, 100%.
Really?
Yeah. You can hear it. You can
like
hear this,
as if someone calls you.
Yeah. Like they're walking and it's in their pocket, or you can hear them talking in the background. And yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Fact or fiction? If someone calls and hangs up, do you have to call them back?
Yes.
Okay. Because you may remember your friend, Bree,
Yes.
who said that she called and it rang out. Literally will hang, and then no one called her
I
back.
have a theory.
Okay.
So she lives on the river, basically. She lives, and on the other side of the river is Portland, and Portland never answers. They are so,
Would it have gone to
so
Portland?
busy. I think that her phone rang on a Portland
Oh,
tower.
because it probably couldn't tell where it was coming from.
Right. And so we get that a lot. And Portland can ring for, I mean, those poor people are so busy. Like, I think there was like something in the news that their hold times were over 2 hours for non-emergencies.
Wait,
and
what?
40 minutes for emergencies. And yeah, there's
You
like
always imagine it's going to be answered like immediately.
No.
Like if I was to call 911, boom.
one of your carriers hid in a bush after somebody tried to carjack him and was on like,
That's
it was like
true.
a 5-minute hold to get to 911.
That's true. And that was a shooting.
And
Yeah, that was a shooting. Segueing on, any funny calls from children? Like,
Oh, they always think
They're
they're going to
making
get
me
in
do
so much
homework or-
trouble. Oh, when they call in, I haven't had a homework call. It's usually like they accidentally call and then they're terrified to go get
you're
their
gonna get in
parents,
trouble.
and you have to convince them like you're really not in trouble, or they just call and like yell at you and think they're
What?
Yeah, they'll just like curse at you, and
bloody kids.
but then I'll find them.
Our little friend Cooper got this. It's a candy, but it's like a little cell phone. It looks like a little cell phone.
Oh yeah.
He was calling 911. That was who he was calling
On his cell phone.
Yeah.
on his, air quotes, cell phone yesterday.
How old is
911,
he?
my auntie's in the cold plunge tank.
And
She's about to
gonna
freeze.
have
Please send.
hypothermia. Please
Yeah.
send someone now. 911.
How old is this? Is this kid?
This
from
little guy down
9.
here.
Good for him. I'm glad he knows the number.
Yeah.
He does.
I quiz kids
911.
all the time. Who do you call? 911.
Yep. Nope. He's got it down.
Yeah, unless if you're in Clark County and it's not an emergency, please call 311.
Okay, so I was going to ask
More
about
plugs.
that because you told me it's the same, exactly the same. Like you're answering it, but is the difference you're prioritizing?
Yes.
Right.
Yep, absolutely.
So if someone calls 911 and they're like something, just want to report this.
Abandoned vehicle. Cool.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, we have to answer 911 first. So it's really helpful. Plus, there's a lot of information when you call 311. And most things that you're calling 311 about, you can report online.
Oh, so you have a recorded message like,
Well, yeah.
don't
some
waste
of it.
our time, please get online.
I wish it was like, please look at this. No, it's just we can answer 911 first before we answer 311, which is it's nice
makes
for the
sense.
actual emergencies.
Yes. Someone calls for help during an active home invasion. What do you do?
You get them into a room. So if they're breaking into the
Safe
house, you
room.
want them upstairs in a closet, like not in their bedroom, but lock every door that you can, or a bathroom if that bathroom locks. And then you send everybody, figure out who it is. We always ask, like, if you're able to look out your window safely, what kind of vehicle is out there?
Ooh,
like,
that's
do you
clever.
Oh, that's
could you
smart.
know the person?
Yeah.
You want to know if there's any weapons in the home, if that caller has the weapons on them. If not, where are they accessed? Is this person going to break in and immediately see your rifle by the door? And so it just kind of dogs. We want to know about dogs because if we're going to release a canine, we don't want another dog in there.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the one that someone like home invasion and they called 911 and they're like, some guy's breaking in. Oh my God, he's breaking down the door. I'm like locked in the closet. Next minute, boom, boom, boom. And he's like, I've just shot him.
That here?
I
No,
don't know.
it wasn't here,
It's
I
in
don't
Washington
think.
somewhere, I think.
Was it?
It wasn't.
If it was
right
the one,
here.
if it was the one on Delancey, that was my call.
Boy, really?
So right after the call, I just gotten back from my leave from taking that. My husband shot us
the
all.
horrific call.
It was the next, like the first day back.
No.
And there was a guy in Vancouver and he had mental health issues and he was breaking into people's houses. We had already been out with him. He was
Oh, God.
first with a car. He walked away from us. He wouldn't do anything. And the car owner did not want to be a victim. They're like, just let him go. He then walked down Delancey Court and tried to break into a house. And that person, they dealt with it and they were like, please leave. And he left. And then he went like a couple blocks away, crawled onto the roof. From the
God.
roof, he broke into the upstairs. The wife called me and said, somebody broke into my house. My husband has him at gunpoint. And then on the on the call, you hear the gun go off.
Boom,
and I
boom.
was like, ma'am, did your husband just shoot him? And she was like, no, it was a warning shot. And I was like, okay, no, it wasn't. He shot him.
What?
One and done. Guy was dead. Yeah.
Oh, God. And what?
And the wife
What
wouldn't
happened
look. She
to
was
him?
terrified. She was like, I can see him. Like, he has him on the floor still. Like, so she was just seeing like his feet.
She was
And she was like, it
oblivious.
was a warning shot like that, because he wasn't cooperating. No, it was not.
So,
And then my boss was like, Crisa. Like,
oh my
what the
God.
calls?
So what happened to this guy? Was he charged with murder or?
No, it was a home invasion. He stood his
Wow.
ground, and I don't know if that's what it's called here, but
Yeah, it's like it's generally states have something called a stand your ground law.
yeah.
Where if somebody comes into your domicile, they break in, you have the right to defend yourself from that individual.
Yeah,
up to and including
and it was
death.
recorded. He gave him warnings: "Do not come in my house." Like,
Okay, so
like,
he sort
and it
of
was clearly recorded,
clear
and he
defense.
still like broke in through this like upstairs window, and
That's crazy.
and it was like 10 o'clock at night. Like, it's the whole scenario is just so
Terrifying.
scary for that homeowner.
oh,
And
horrific.
yeah,
What about the instances where someone breaks into your garage, breaks their leg, and then sues you?
I've heard
I
about
feel like
these,
this
or
is
like
very American.
where they're like on your roof and they fall through the skylight.
yeah, but they're doing something sneaky like breaking in,
Yeah.
injure themselves, and then next minute it's like on you.
yeah, I don't know.
That's
That is
so backwards.
infuriating.
Yes.
Infuriating. I'm sorry, but if you are in the act of committing a crime and you hurt yourself,
That's
tough
on you.
luck, pal.
Yeah,
Right.
that's crazy.
Tough luck.
I just wanted to touch on your life-saving award.
Oh, I have another one now.
2 of them.
Yeah.
And is this why you were in the newspaper?
No, I was in the newspaper because they came out there and talked to us, and they asked about, life and my favorite call. And my favorite
Oh, that's
call
cool.
is that I thank you for reading the article. My favorite call was
Like
that
I work
I
at a
saved
newspaper.
a golden retriever from choking.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, and the lady, I thought it was a baby, and so I was going through our medical protocol, and then I realized that like she was talking about a dog, and we don't
Aw.
have that for a dog. And I Googled it, and yeah, he stopped choking, and
That's amazing.
I know, and
She
I
would have been forever grateful.
yes,
Oh, absolutely.
Right,
Well,
and-
to a lot of us, our pets
Oh,
kind of are our
Crisa
babies,
has
so
a-
I can see why it would seem that
Crisa,
you were
yeah,
thinking
has
it was a
beautiful
baby.
dog.
yeah. Oh, Guinness,
Guinness. Bloody love Guinness. How old is Guinness now?
he'll be 9 in July.
Yeah, because him and
He's
Milo are
sort of-
about the same.
yeah.
he
Milo's a
sorta
little bit
looks
older.
like a Great Dane, but he's not. He doesn't
No,
have any
he's-
in him.
Shar-Pei, Pity, and Shepherd.
I love that you got his DNA tested.
Yeah,
And the life-saving award was for literally teaching someone to do CPR,
CPR,
and
coaching
save a life.
CPR
Yeah.
through. Yeah, it was at a really sketchy area, and everything in me, everybody assumed it was a overdose. And so, I'm asking for Narcan. No one has Narcan. Nobody knew the individual. It was just in a parking lot. But I guess he had a seizure, which then was like a heart attack and I don't know. But yeah, they gave him CPR, and then
Oh,
yeah,
interesting. You both do CPR. Kyla's often
Have you
given
done
CPR.
CPR yourself?
In
Personally on someone?
No.
It's exhausting.
So did Amanda
Ugh.
tell you that? So I had to go. I had a little issue with my surgery, and I ended up in the emergency room at Peace Health.
Yeah,
right.
she
And
I
did.
did.
My wife was like, "Is Dr. Kyla here?"
Oh, God.
I told Kyla that.
And then the doctor who was in there, who was they
embarrassing.
them, and I was so excited that they were they them, and they were like, "Who?" And I was like, "She's not a doctor. She works in a cath lab."
Oh,
All exhausted
Awkward.
and like, but they had said like the cath lab, she was like, they are on point. They like, we just prep them, and then they come in and they're like, get out, and they like are the lifesavers. And I was like, yep. And she was like, doctor, I thought she was a doctor, Dr. Kyla. And so
Aw, I love
I have
that.
now changed your name in my phone to Dr. Kyla.
Oh,
Hey.
my God.
DK.
That is terrible. That's so embarrassing.
Oh, it's good.
Oh.
Anyway, as I was trying to say was that I read they changed CPR because of like people being paranoid to do the breathing.
Oh yeah.
So they made it more focused on just the compressions.
Well,
is that
but
true?
not only that, but the fact is that you have a certain amount of oxygen remaining in your blood that can be recirculated. You don't have to renew that oxygen, so to speak, as long as you keep that heart beating. So, for us, it's 2 breaths and 100 compressions, or whatever, 100 compressions.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can just keep circulating as long as you keep perfusing or keep that heart, beating via outside motivation, shall we say. And you keep that brain getting perfused with the oxygenated
Yes.
blood, you should be, okay.
But it's changed so many times. It used to be 2 to 15. Like
So
it's changed
that's
a lot.
great. So yeah, we do compressions first, except for 3 things, and that's drowning, electrocution, and overdose. But our like script for just compressions is 600 times, or
Whoa.
until help can take over.
600.
But
who's counting to 600?
we do. Like we have like a counter, and it's like I was like, I'm right now, and you hit it.
157, 158.
No, you tell them 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4, 1, 2, and you're making them say it out loud, and so it's like doing
Yeah.
it. But I've hit 600 before, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to stop. Like we just keep going, and then the breaths are if you're like if you don't know them, I'm not gonna. I
Oh,
tell you like,
God.
hey, you don't
Yeah.
have to do this, but drownings, I think it's electrocution, and
You don't CPR?
you do the breaths,
Breaths
and
first.
that,
Rescue
Okay.
breath first.
and that's the like 30 pumps, 2 breaths, 30 pumps, 2 breaths.
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it's really as far as like anybody who ever does any kind of CPR, if you're a bystander and you see someone doing CPR, it becomes very difficult the more tired you get to give an adequate chest compression. So if you're a bystander, get in line. Like at the hospital, we have a line of people that line up to help with chest compressions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Makes sense.
I mean, and you rotate
It is
out every
exhausting.
2 to 4 minutes.
yeah.
And yeah, you get a good heart rate
you're
going yourself when you're doing
Pressing,
these.
you're like pressing
Yeah.
2 inches.
You crack ribs. If you're the first person on the chest, it's happened to me maybe twice. You feel those rib cartilage and everything breaking
is
underneath your palms. It's
I did
creepy.
it once. My friend and I were doing first aid classes or whatever, and on our way there, we came across an accident. A guy had gone through the windscreen and basically hit a parked car. He had a heart attack. Anyway, my friend and I, like I said, we were doing these classes, and we just like got in there and gave CPR and saved his life.
That's amazing.
And yes, it was. And we were probably like, we couldn't drive, so we're probably like 16 or something. And yeah,
That's insane.
That
That's
was-
crazy.
but I do have a couple of 911 stories.
Oh,
The dumpster fire. I was driving
which
to work.
I have audio and visual of.
Yes, so you probably listened to this call. I couldn't for the life of me on the call remember what a dumpster was called. So in Australia, we
that's
call
my
them a
favorite
skip. And I was trying so hard to explain that this bin was on fire.
And which we wouldn't even say bin in
No.
America.
I don't know, I couldn't think of the word dumpster. And the second that I
Trash
said
can,
to someone
garbage
this,
can.
and they're like, oh, a dumpster. And I'm like, yeah, dumpster. It was a dumpster fire. So I'm sure I looked absolutely crazy, or like the one that lit the fire. But yeah. So
Yeah.
it was like 2 a.m. or something crazy.
Well,
And
like
And I
Crisa
have-
said, lots of mental health problems in,
yeah,
in Vancouver.
I'm sure.
But my friend immediately knew who you were. She texted me and she was like, I think your friend called in.
The accent gives everything away.
And then you had car video of it. So I sent her the car video.
yeah, that was cool because, it recorded my call as well. The other one was I was driving to work and a car had rolled just in front of me and the guy was trapped in the car. So I called 911 and pulled him out of the vehicle.
See, that's so cool.
Please feel free to call me a hero.
Ugh.
Uh,
Somebody have a safety pin that we can burst her big head bubble with. Anyone?
I just got a couple of odd news articles that I saw that I found interesting. What's covered in gold, costs $700, weighs 8 ounces, and is edible in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia.
Yes.
It weighs how much?
8 ounces.
Well, it wouldn't be a Philly cheesesteak.
It's got to be like a gold dusted, like
Donut.
caviar or like,
Gold dusted donut hole.
oh, a donut. What else is really?
8 ounces.
A burger.
A burger.
For $700, you get the gold standard, a Wagyu meat burger with caviar. You were very close. Fresh
Wow.
black truffle, lobster flambéed with cognac,
Cognac.
liquid, topped with aged Irish cheddar and drizzled with honey. Fries are included, as is a 1 ounce pour
So
of
generous.
Louis VIII cognac, which fetches around $5 a bottle. What the hell would the tip be on that?
bottle? $5 a bottle. Did you just-
$5,000 a bottle.
Okay, you said 5, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cheap drink right
I
there.
knew what I was thinking.
I feel like
$5,000
that's
a bottle.
overkill, like the lobster and the caviar and the Wagyu.
For
like,
$700. So pretty much what? $100 tip on a burger?
Gross.
I have to agree with your brother on this. I don't think that we should be tipping. I think that
No, it's ridiculous.
I think that restaurants need to pay a living wage, and then tipping should go back to where it was like this exemplary service. I'm not.
Yeah,
saying it
exactly. Like, yeah, no,
You
are.
did amazing. Like, let me give you
Yes.
this. That's
Yeah.
not a required,
Above and beyond.
Okay.
Even
so,
the donut shop was like, ask,
What?
like when you pay, it was
No.
like, do you want a tip? And I was like, for what? Like,
Okay, so
No, thank
question
you.
here. I just had my tattoo done, my squirrel. Looks amazing. So it was $600, and I felt compelled to tip. I felt like I couldn't just give him that. So I gave him a $100 tip.
yeah, I do tip artists.
Okay,
my
but
tattoo
he's
artists.
getting paid $150 an hour. Why would I tip someone who's getting paid $150 an hour?
because it's permanent. You're gonna have that forever. It's his art. It's a piece of art. And
Okay.
his time, he drew it. He did a lot better than the last one. So,
I
like,
agree, but if you're getting paid $150 an hour, who's expecting a tip?
You know what? At that case, if Peace Health doesn't want to pay us more as their line staff, I'm going to start asking for tips from patients that I've done chest compressions on.
Wow.
could you imagine?
That is so harsh.
Kind of is the same thing.
You know what I mean? Like it is a service, right? We're
Yes.
doing a service, providing them life-saving services.
Maybe just have a little tip jar.
Yeah, maybe we just
You
put
do
one at
get-
the lab.
Okay, I'm just going to interject.
just
You
teasing.
do get a ton of like candy and gifts. Like people are always giving you like food and stuff.
Well, but that's not from our
You prefer
patients.
the money.
It's not from our patients. It's
Really,
from
I thought patients came in and like
No.
gave-
It's not.
No, we typically we don't per se want to eat. And I don't know. No, I've seen that happen maybe twice in the 5 years that I've worked there.
Oh my
It
gosh.
happens with nurses though. They're always getting like candy from.
But we
Baskets of
can't
stuff.
accept
Yeah.
like we're actually not allowed to accept gifts. It's a thing. We just
Yeah,
had a
same.
training on it and whatever.
Boring.
But yeah,
It's like
anyway.
a bribery.
I can accept gifts. Thank you for the
I
donuts,
mean, we
Crisa.
take the food. Dispatch gets a ton, but it's usually from like
Really?
other agencies,
That's cool.
like fire.
Hey, does your job also, like when you guys are feeling really stressed and whatever, are they like, oh, here's some pizza,
Oh my God. Yes.
like let's fix everything with a pizza party?
The hard part though
So
is that
annoying.
it doesn't come from like the higher ups. It comes from like the supervisors who's there in the thick of it with
Yeah.
us, and they're like, wow, they're exhausted.
trenches.
Everybody's working 14s. No one, you know what I mean? It's just insane. And it's those supervisors who are like, hey, I just want to thank you for coming to work this week. And so like either I'm
Aw.
going to do a coffee run or we're going to get lunch or whatever. From like the higher ups, we do have a dispatch appreciation week where we just get bombarded with treats and cookies
Love
and cakes.
that.
And it's so much
You
sugar.
should let me come sit along in that week.
Yeah, it's in April. It just passed.
But it's not like the fact is that like they're doing it in lieu of giving us a better wage.
Yeah.
Or something of that nature.
Time
or time off, like more days off, more hours earned
There's
off.
a catch.
There's a catch. So, and from us, it's not from our direct managers. It's from the people that are in administration.
Yeah.
And it's like they seem to think that is sufficient.
Well, we are in contract negotiations right now. So
As
I'm
our
hoping-
we're going to be starting.
yeah, we've been
Awesome.
we've been out of contract since the beginning of the year. So we're hoping for some major improvements.
My company does not negotiate with
With unions.
terrorists, with anyone. They just don't. Anyway, it's been a pleasure having you.
Oh, no citizenship test. I'm very thankful.
No, if you'd have come a couple of weeks ago, you would have been drilled.
Oh my gosh, what did you ask me? We went to the
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 Paranormal circus.
and she
That was a lot of
oh my
fun.
god, she asked me, Crisa, who is Susan B. Anthony? And I guessed two things completely different, both wrong.
Didn't you say she was on a coin?
I said
Kyla said she was on
I
a
did.
coin.
I was like, oh, she's on a coin. Is she the Underground Railroad?
yes.
And you were like, no. And I go,
No.
did she make the flag?
That's right.
No. But then I went home and I asked Carrie, and she immediately was
Women's
like,
rights.
she was like, women's rights, duh.
Yeah, I never would have got it. Everyone
Wow.
always says, if you hadn't have studied for that test, would you have passed? The answer is not a chance in hell. Like, I wouldn't have known who she was. I don't even think I,
I
would have
barely would have
made a
known
guess
who
like
she
that.
was. I knew she was on a coin.
That's literally, it was gold.
Well, thank you. Any questions or feedback, please reach out to our Facebook page. Leave us a voicemail. Links in the show notes. Rate and review us. And I would like to say thank you for all the reviews we got from Australia. Fantastic. As we always say, Crisa.
Oh, she
I
clearly
don't
hasn't
know.
listened.
Yeah, this is
If
your
it's
test.
not 5 stars, Don't bother.
Oh, it's trash. Don't bother. I do know that. You have to remember, I work 5 minutes from where I live. I don't have time. I don't
You
listen
just
to podcasts
said you just
anymore.
like binged them all.
I did, but I was recovering from surgery, so I was also high as a kite.
Oh, okay. So if this was a 911 call, how would you end it?
How would I end it?
Yeah.
Oh.
How would you end the call?
I would say, okay, somebody's going to reach out to you. Have a good day. Bye. Click.
Later,
That fast. Wow.
I do. I get a lot of feedback that I'm like, okay, bye. Click. Like, we're done
There's
talking.
not-
Why would I wait for anything? We're done.
Wow.
Next. 911. How can I
You're
help you?
next. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Well, thank you both. Have a great week.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye.